It's the second time I'm recording this video because I didn't actually record it the first time. Fun times! Hey everyone, my name is Iasmina and welcome back to my channel. Today I have another book haul for you, and this will be all of the books that I've accumulated since I did my last book haul, so somewhere in March. Just a quick disclaimer, I don't usually buy this many books in that short amount of time, but the thing about me is that I'm never really sure what I'll be in the mood for next or what I'll be in the mood to read next, and I always like to have a bit of every kind of genre that I read on my shelves, and I realized I was missing some genres and I really wanted to read those genres, and so I just tried buying a few more books, and that escalated into buying a few more books. So in a period of 3 months I've accumulated, I don't know what it is, like 16, 17 books? Something like that. But I don't usually do this, and I'm probably not gonna buy any more books. I'm not gonna say at all this year, but I'm probably not gonna buy as many throughout the rest of the year, so I don't expect to have another book haul until maybe like the end of the year. So the first stack of books I have right here is actually nonfiction. This was kind of the genre that I realized I was missing on my shelf, and I really felt like reading some nonfiction, and I just went and bought myself some nonfiction. I love reading nonfiction, but I don't read as much of it as I would like, but every now and again I really have that mood to just read nonfiction, and I didn't have any more, and so I bought some. So let's tell you what they are. The first two books I have here are actually on the same topic, and that is North Korea. Now, I've always been fascinated, okay, maybe fascinated is the wrong word, but intrigued by North Korea and what's going on there. Especially since I'm a really big fan of like South Korea. I consume a lot of South Korean media and products and whatnot, and the differences between them is just so startling, and obviously all the history behind that, and I've always been really interested to read and find out more about North Korea, and I definitely watched a lot of documentaries on it, and any kind of thing that I can find I always read about, but I actually haven't read any physical books or books in general about it, and I know there were some really good ones circulating around and people were talking about them, and so I finally decided to pick some up. And the first one is In Order to Live by Yeonmi Park, A North Korean Girl's Journey to Freedom. So from what I know, this is Yeonmi's story of escaping from North Korea, and this has been getting really good reviews. I mean, it came out a few years ago now, but it's been getting really good reviews, and I know this is one of the most raved ones on the topic, and I finally decided to pick it up. And then the second one is called Nothing to Envy by Barbara Dimick, Real Lives in North Korea. And as far as I know, it's an accounting of 6 people's lives, like people who live in North Korea at the time of writing this book. And I think Barbara Dimick is a journalist, or so it might be interviews with those people, or just her account on their lives from interviews that she's had with them. I'm not entirely sure, but this is also one of the ones that I've seen around the most about North Korea, and so I'm so excited to read these two. What the? So I'm actually super excited to read these two books and find out more about North Korea, and just, I don't know, it might be a weird thing, but I'm just super intrigued by the whole. Continuing on the theme of tragedies, for some reason, I felt like reading kind of heavy topic, like books about some heavy topics. Next one is about the Chernobyl disaster, and it's called Chernobyl Prayer by Svetlana Alexievich. But this won the Nobel Prize in 2015, so it must be good. Again, I'm not entirely sure what it's about, except the obvious, but I've always been super intrigued by the Chernobyl disaster and what happened to the people that used to live there, and what happened after they moved out, and what happened to the city itself, and the animals that lived there, and the nature that lived there, and I'm very excited to read more about disasters. The next book is also kind of I don't know if it's actually a sad book, I think it might also be a funny book, but it's also kind of about a heavy topic, and that is The Good Immigrant, edited by Nikesh Shukla. This has been everywhere recently, and I'm pretty sure it's essays on immigration, specifically in the UK, by immigrants to the UK, and a lot of them I think might be already authors. Yes, 21 writers explore what it means to be Black, Asian, and minority ethnic in Britain today. And as an immigrant myself, I am a Romanian immigrant in Denmark, it's always super interesting to me and fascinating to hear other people's experiences with immigration. I think that's the last sad book on this book haul. Maybe, possibly. I'm not entirely sure because I don't know a lot about some of these other books. The next nonfiction book is about a topic that I always find weird talking about it because it's about sleep, okay? And I love sleeping. Sleeping is one of my favorite things to do, and I know it sounds really, really sad, but I also find it so incredibly interesting. And anyway, this is called Why We Sleep by Matthew Walker, The New Science of Sleep and Dream. So this is maybe like pop science, popular science, about the reason why we sleep and how that all works. I think Matthew Walker is a neuroscientist, so we might get that view on it, but this has been getting really good reviews. Oh, I'm gonna try to not say that anymore. Again, assume all of these books have been getting good reviews. But this just sounds so interesting to me because I do love sleep, and sometimes people think I'm weird when I say that. But I'm really interested to read more about perspectives on maybe figuring out, why we do it and how it all works and why some people like it so much, like me. Because it's basically wasting your life away sleeping. But I love it anyway. Why am I weird? The last two nonfiction books in this haul are two books about the craft of writing. I read a lot of books on writing because I'm a writer and I always strive to learn more about writing. And I always really enjoy reading these. So the first one is called The Emotional Craft of Fiction: How to Write the Story Beneath the Surface by Donald Mass. Both of these I've actually already read, so I can tell you a little bit more about them than some of the other books. This kind of goes deep into why people fall in love with books or with certain characters and what evokes really strong emotions from people while they're reading, so regardless of what that emotion is. And it kind of talks about how you can evoke those feelings through your writing. So this was actually super interesting. I would highly recommend this. I'm gonna do a whole separate video on like the best writing craft books that I've read. But this is a really good one. And then the next one is The Anatomy of Story by John Truby. 22 Steps to Becoming a Master Storyteller. This was also really good, actually. This is one of the best writing craft books I've ever read. It's not just about like 22 steps to becoming a master storyteller. It talks about so many different things and how to craft a good story and how to make it flow naturally, make it stem from the characters themselves and from their reactions and motivations and not from the plot or from what you as a writer necessarily want the story to be, if that makes sense. Very good book. I'd really recommend this if you're interested in writing craft, of course. The next three books are contemporaries. This is also one of the genres that I was kind of missing on my bookshelf and I just wanted to have a couple to read when I felt like it. The first one is Call Me By Your Name by Andre Aciman, maybe. But this is obviously like a really popular movie right now, and I knew it was a book, and I always want to read the book before I see the movie, if possible. But I'm very curious to see what all the hype is about. I know that it's about two boys falling in love, and that's kind of the base premise of it, but I did read the first page on Amazon, and I really liked the writing style, and it really hooked me, and so I'm really curious. And then the next two are in the same series. They're books 2 and 3 in the series, but they're actually companion novels. I think, actually this is the second one, right? Lola and the Boy Next Door by Stephanie Perkins, and the third one is Isla and Happily Ever After by Stephanie Perkins. The first one is called Anna and the French Kiss, and I'll put the picture up here so you know what it looks like. I've read that, I have it on my Kindle. It was really fun and enjoyable and lighthearted and exactly what I expected it to be. And I like some of those reads every now and then, and so I'm expecting these two to be really similar. The next two books are the only fantasy ones I have in this haul because honestly I read so much fantasy and I always have fantasy. Like, I'm never in a shortage of fantasy on my shelves and I have quite a few that I haven't read yet, so. But I can't stop myself from buying new ones, because the first one is The Knife of Never Letting Go by Patrick Ness. Look at this book! Oh my god, the black edges, that's so beautiful, that's so beautiful. Anyway, actually, one of the first books that was like going the rounds on BookTube when I first started watching BookTube, maybe like 5 years ago. This was a really popular series back then, and I've always been interested in reading it. Not sure why it took me so long, but here we are. Anyway, I'm kind of happy I waited because this cover is really gorgeous. All I know about this is it's kind of like a fantasy slash dystopian, where in this world everyone can hear each other's thoughts, so there's like constant noise in your head from all of the people around you, and you can obviously hear each other think. But I think they go on a walk, and one day they find like a small spot where it's silent, where he can't hear anyone else. And that's the premise. That's all I know about it, and honestly, that's all I need to know about it. I'm very excited to read this. Today is not my day. The camera just died, so if the position is a bit different, it's because I had to change battery. Anyway, as I left off, the next book is one of the most hyped books I've seen recently, and it's actually a new release, and it's called Children of Blood and Bone by Tomi Adeyemi. This is a Nigerian-inspired fantasy, and the back only says this: "They killed my mother, they took our magic, they tried to bury us, now we rise." Honestly, that's all I need to know. It's a fantasy. It's inspired by Nigerian culture. I'm there. Okay, and the last stack of books is kind of just general fiction, literary fiction, stuff like that. I'm not entirely sure how to categorize them, but general fiction. First I have I See You by Claire McIntosh. And as far as I'm aware, this is a thriller. The back says, "You do the same thing every day. You know exactly where you're going. You're not alone." Don't know much about that. It's a thriller. I was kind of in the mood to have a thriller. I don't read thrillers that much, but I like to have at least one on my bookshelf to read, and this has been everywhere on Book Depository and Amazon and everywhere, and so it was cheap one day and I just decided to pick it up. Don't judge me. The next book I've also seen quite a lot when I first joined BookTube. I think this also came out, yeah, 2002, so it came out a while ago. But this is The Secret Life of Bees by Sue Monk Kidd. I don't know how well you can see that cover, but there's bees on it. And from the title and from the cover, I assume it has something to do with bees or beekeeping. That is literally all I know about it. Second to last book I have is called The Traveling Cat Chronicles by Hiro Arikawa. And what you need to know about this book is it has a cat on the cover, and it's about a man who travels with his pet cat through Japan. I don't need more than that. I was sold on the cat alone on the cover, but then it's about a guy traveling with the cat in Japan. Yes. Okay, and the final book I have is another literary fiction, I'm pretty sure, called Eleanor Elephant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. This is also absolutely everywhere, and the back says, "Eleanor Elephant leads a simple life. She wears the same clothes to work every day, eats the same meal deal for lunch every day, and buys the same 2 bottles of vodka to drink every weekend. Eleanor Elephant is happy. Nothing is missing from her carefully timetabled existence, except sometimes everything." It sounds amazing. Everyone's saying really great things about it. It's won the Costa Book Awards last year. I don't need more than that, okay? This sounds amazing. I'm so excited to read it finally, because everyone's been raving about it. But yes, that is my newly bought, well, over the last 3 months, stack of books. I don't need to say this because I say it every time, but I'm very excited to read all of them. And I will read all of them in time. Some obviously sooner than later. I hope you enjoyed this book haul, and maybe some of these books sound interesting. Please tell me in the comments if you've read any of these and what you thought of them, or which ones sound interesting to you personally. And thanks so much for watching, guys, and I'll see you next Monday. Bye!